She stepped out of the rain-soaked night, mascara streaking down her cheeks like black rivers, clutching her cheap umbrella that had already surrendered to the wind. The luxury black SUV idled at the curb outside the upscale hotel where she just finished her shift as a cocktail waitress. Heels aching, dress clinging to her skin from the sudden downpour. She yanked the back door open without thinking, sliding inside with a sigh of relief, expecting the familiar smell of cheap air freshener and the chatty driver who always asked about her day. Instead, the leather smelled like cedar and expensive cologne. The interior lights were soft amber, the dashboard glowing with screens she couldn't even name. And in the driver's seat sat a man, broad shoulders, dark hair slightly tousled, sleeves of his tailored shirt rolled to his elbows. He turned slowly, one eyebrow raised, eyes the color of storm clouds locking onto hers in the rearview mirror. "You're not my Uber," she whispered, voice cracking. He didn't laugh. He just looked at her, really looked, taking the soaked dress, the exhaustion in her posture, the way her hands trembled as she gripped her purse like it was the last thing keeping her afloat. "No," he said quietly. "I'm not. If you're already hooked, smash that like button right now and hit subscribe, because this story is about to get real, emotional, and a little dangerous in all the best ways. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Let's dive in." Her name was Sophia, 28 years old, single, no kids, no safety net. She'd moved to the city 3 years ago, chasing a dream that had long since evaporated. Acting, modeling, anything that would get her out of the small-town life where everyone knew her father drank too much and her mother pretended it didn't happen. Now, she served overpriced martinis to men who tipped in compliments instead of cash and came home to a studio apartment that smelled faintly of mold and yesterday's takeout. The man's name was Julian Voss, 36, widower, father to a 6-year-old girl named Lily who still slept with the lights on because she was afraid her mother might disappear again. Even though her mother had been gone for 4 years, taken by cancer that moved too fast for doctors to catch. Julian had built a tech empire from nothing after college, sold it for 9 figures, and now spent his days in boardrooms and his nights trying to be enough for a little girl who asked every bedtime why mommy couldn't come back. That night, Sophia had missed her last bus. The rain had come down like punishment. She'd opened the wrong door, climbed into the wrong car, and now she was sitting in the back seat of a man who looked like he belonged on magazine covers, not in her life. "I'm so sorry," she stammered, reaching for the handle. "I thought this was—" "Stay," he said. Not a command, a quiet request. "You're soaked. You'll catch pneumonia. I am headed uptown anyway. Where do you live?" She hesitated. Pride warred with exhaustion. The truth was she lived in the opposite direction, in a neighborhood where even the streetlights looked tired. But the heat in the car was heaven, and the way he was looking at her, not with pity, but with something closer to recognition, made her throat tight. "Fine," she muttered, "but just to the subway. I can walk from there." He pulled away from the curb without another word. They drove in silence for 10 minutes. Rain drummed against the tinted windows. Sophia stole glances at him. Strong jaw, faint scar above his left eyebrow, hands steady on the wheel. He didn't try to fill the quiet with small talk. That alone made her relax a fraction. Then Lily's voice piped up from the front passenger seat. Small, sleepy, unmistakable. "Daddy, who's the pretty lady?" Sophia froze. Julian's eyes flicked to the rear view again. "This is Sophia, sweetheart." She needed a ride. "Sophia, this is Lily." Lily twisted around, big hazel eyes wide. She had her father's coloring, but her mother's delicate features. High cheekbones, Cupid's bow lips. She clutched a stuffed rabbit to her chest. "You're really pretty," Lily said solemnly. "Like a princess. But your dress is all wet." Sophia laughed despite herself, a soft, surprised sound. "Yeah, rain's not very princess-friendly tonight." Julian's mouth curved, just a hint. "Lily thinks everyone in a dress is a princess. Only the nice ones," Lily corrected seriously. They dropped Lily off first at the penthouse. Julian carried her inside, while Sophia waited in the car, feeling like an intruder in a fairy tale she hadn't been invited to. When he came back, He slid behind the wheel and looked at her in the mirror again. "You're shivering," he said. "I'm Fina." He turned up the heat anyway. They talked, really talked, on the long drive to her neighborhood. She told him about the auditions that never panned out, the rent that kept rising, the nights she cried in the shower so her roommate wouldn't hear. He told her about the hospital rooms, the machines that beeped like metronomes, the way Lily had crawled into bed with him every night for a year afterward because she was terrified he'd disappear too. When they reached her building, a cracked stoop, flickering entry light. He didn't pull away immediately. "Thank you," she said, hand on the door, "for not making me feel stupid." "You're not stupid," he replied. "You're tired. There's a difference." She looked at him, then really looked. The way his shirt clung slightly to his shoulders from carrying Lily, the faint stubble along his jaw, the quiet strength in his eyes. Something low and warm stirred in her belly. "Good night, Julian." "Good night, Sophia." She stepped out into the rain again, but it didn't feel as cold anymore. The next morning, there was a coffee on her doorstep, black, 2 sugars, exactly how she took it. A note tucked under the cup. "You left your umbrella in the car. I kept it hostage. Breakfast tomorrow? Gee." She stared at the note for a long time before texting the number he'd written underneath. "Only if you promise not to kidnap my umbrella again." He replied within seconds. "Deal." Breakfast turned into lunch. Lunch turned into dinners. Quiet ones at first, just the 3 of them. Lily adored Sophia instantly. She'd climb into Sophia's lap and ask her to braid her hair, tell her stories about princesses who didn't need rescuing because they rescued themselves. Sophia found herself laughing more than she had in years. And Julian, God, Julian! He watched her like she was the only thing in the room worth seeing. When Lily was asleep, they'd sit on the terrace of his penthouse overlooking the city, wine in hand, talking until the sky turned pink. One night, the conversation drifted to things that weren't safe. "You're beautiful," he said quietly, voice rough. "But it's not just that. It's the way you look at Lily like she's the most important person in the world. The way you don't flinch when she asks hard questions." Sophia's heart hammered. "You're not so bad yourself." He set his glass down, moved closer, close enough that she could feel the heat radiating from his body. "I haven't wanted anyone in a long time," he admitted. "Not like this." She swallowed. "Me neither." He kissed her then, slow, deliberate, like he was memorizing every second. His hand slid to the back of her neck, fingers threading through her hair. She tasted wine and want and something deeper, grief, maybe, but the kind that had healed into hope. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "I don't want to rush you," he whispered. "I'm not scared," she whispered back. "Not of you." That night, they didn't go further than kissing, deep, hungry kisses that left them both breathless, but the tension simmered between them like a promise. Weeks turned into months. Sophia moved in slowly, first a drawer, then a shelf, then most of her things. Lily started calling her Sophie and drawing pictures of the 3 of them holding hands. Julian taught Sophia how to drive his ridiculous car. She taught him how to make pancakes from scratch instead of ordering them. But nothing that perfect lasts without cracks. The first crack came when Julian's ex-partner, his former business partner and Lily's godfather, showed up unannounced with papers. Julian had quietly been buying back shares of the company he'd sold years ago. The partner wanted in, or he'd make trouble. Worse, he hinted he knew about Sophia. "She's not exactly penthouse material, Julian. Think about Lily's future." Sophia overheard. She didn't say anything that night, but the next morning she packed a small bag while Julian was in a meeting. When he came home and found her sitting on the couch with the bag at her feet, his face went pale. "You're leaving." "I heard him," she said quietly. "He's right. I don't belong here. I'm not. I'm not the kind of woman who fits in your world." Julian knelt in front of her, took her hands. "My world is Lily. And you. That's it. The rest is just noise. But what if one day Lily loves you more than she's ever loved anyone except me? She told me last week she wants you to be her mommy." She said it while brushing her teeth, like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Sophia's eyes filled. "I love her too. I love you. But I'm terrified I'll ruin this." He cupped her face. "You won't. Because we're not doing this alone. We're doing it together. She stayed. The second crack was bigger. Sophia's mother called. Her father had fallen again, liver failure this time. Hospital bills were piling up. Sophia didn't have the money. She didn't want to ask Julian. Cried again. She started picking up extra shifts, coming home exhausted, barely speaking. Julian noticed. Of course he did. One night, he found her crying in the kitchen at 2 a.m., staring at a stack of medical bills on her phone. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked softly. "Because I don't want you to think I'm here for the money." He pulled her into his arms. "I know why you're here, and I'm going to take care of this. Not because I have to, but because I love you. Because family takes care of family." She sobbed against his chest. "I'm scared I'll never be enough for you." "You already are," he said fiercely. "More than enough." You paid the bills. Quietly. No fanfare. When Sophia tried to protest, he kissed her until she forgot how to argue. And then came the night that changed everything. Lily had a fever, high sudden. Julian was out of town for a single day of meetings. Sophia stayed up all night, cooling her forehead with washcloths, singing lullabies she didn't know she remembered from her own childhood. When the fever broke at dawn, Lily opened her eyes and whispered, "Don't leave me, Sophie. Please don't leave." Sophia held her close, tears falling into Lily's hair. "Never, baby, never." Julian flew back early. We walked into the bedroom and saw Sophia curled around Lily. Both asleep, something in his chest cracked open wide. He proposed the next week, on the terrace, under stars, with Lily holding the ring box like it was treasure. Sophia said yes before he even finished asking. Years later, they stood in the same penthouse, older, softer around the edges. Lily was 12 now, all legs and opinions, still drawing pictures of the three of them. Sophia had started a small theater program for kids in underserved neighborhoods. Her dream reborn, funded quietly by Julian's quiet fortune. One evening, as the city glittered below, Julian wrapped his arms around Sophia from behind. "Remember the night you got in the wrong car?" he murmured against her neck, lips brushing skin. She laughed softly. "How could I forget? Best mistake I ever made." He turned her in his arms, kissed her slow and deep, the same way he had that first night, but richer now, seasoned by time and trust. "I love you," he said against her mouth. "Every messy, beautiful part of you." She smiled, fingers tracing the scar above his eyebrow. "I love you too, and I'm never getting out of this car again." They stood like that for a long time, two people who had found each other in the rain, who had chosen each other every day since. And somewhere in the city below, someone else was stepping out into the storm, about to make the same beautiful mistake. Because sometimes the wrong car is exactly the right one. If this story touched you, if it made you believe in second chances, in love that sees past the surface, in families built from broken pieces, then please hit that like button, drop a comment telling me your own wrong car moment, and subscribe so you never miss the next one. We all deserve a love that feels like coming home. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next story.